being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the clouds will be on the increase a little bit this afternoon, but still a nice day with a high in the upper 40s. Those temperatures are going to level off and actually drop off a little bit late this afternoon into this evening. So upper 40s, we're melting some snow, and that's all that really matters. I think brief step backwards with high temperatures tomorrow in the mid 30s. But then we're in the 50s on Sunday and sunny skies. Should be a dry weekend, too. I'm First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Hello and welcome to Friday afternoon here on Colombo and Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo in studio with producer Ashlyn. A jam-packed show for you today. We've got an inexplicable decision by Donald Trump with us on social media to talk about. We've got Trump RX to talk about. We've got hypocritical Democrats to talk about. Yesterday, if you missed the conversation that we had at the end of the show yesterday with the guys from Bluff City Outdoor Show, we rolled out new financial filings that were just released about the Stop Oligarchy tour with with Bernie Sanders and AOC, and on their tour of telling people about how rich people are bad and there shouldn't be millionaires and billionaires in the world, and wealth is bad and privilege is bad, and they were flying around on private jets that cost $15,000 an hour to operate and staying in hotels that cost thousands of dollars a night. Just and we're just getting started with that kind of stuff. The Ilhan Omar stuff is now being officially investigated to see if there were crimes, which is awesome. I hope that goes somewhere. Rashida Tlaib is also in some hot water around that, and so is Ayanna Presley. Those all names have something in common. Ken Williams is here with us. That group, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Presley, Bernie.
They're all the leaders of the Democrat Socialist Party.
It's like, one of these things is not like
the
but
other.
they're actually, all of these things are just like each other.
Yeah, really.
So, we're going to get into all of that as we go through the afternoon and more. I'm going to we're going to dig in a little bit also into Eric Schmidt's new legislative package that we touched on yesterday. As I mentioned yesterday, this is a massive bill. So there's a lot to unpack, but I think it's awesome. And I am worried that it's not going to go anywhere. And I think it was Dr. Tobler yesterday who said that he agreed with me that every word of this bill is spot on, but it probably doesn't have a snowball's chance to get across the finish line. So
Well, I'm tired of hearing that.
yeah, I am too. Have you seen this bill from Eric Schmidt?
No.
The Sanctuary City bill? Oh, it is wonderful, but it's it's directly against the list of demands that the Democrats have put out that they say must happen if they're going to fund ICE and DHS, which we're like 6 days away from that now, because that was a 10-day extension at the beginning of the week. So we're almost there now.
Yeah, I think I read the headline of what Eric Schmidt put out.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot.
That part alone I understood, and I think it's great. But I agree with you in that it's probably not going to be able to pass.
So yeah, we're going to unpack that as we go through the afternoon. I mentioned Trump RX. We're going to talk about that as well. Ken Williams will be with us for a good chunk of this 2 o'clock hour here. Also, a little bit later on this hour, about 2:45, we're going to get the all-important weekend forecast from Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. What is it? I'm checking. What is the temperature right now? It feels like it's 90 degrees. It's 50, which feels like 90.
We're so used to the cold weather, though.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. The wind chill is 90 right now. I'm officially saying that because where we've been, 50 feels incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But will it last?
That's the big deal. Connor Roofing is going to be doing our house finally. Well, it's not their fault. I mean, they've been so backed up.
Sure. And
the weather and everything. But they've finally had a chance to do it. They're going to do it this weekend. Hopefully, they'll be able to get into it without it having to rain or anything. Who knows what's going to happen with it, though? You know,
we'll find out in about 35, 40 minutes from now. We'll hopefully get some insight on what to expect weather-wise this weekend. Yeah. Dave Sylvester from Gutter Pros was on with me earlier this week, and they were dealing with the same thing. They were like, we're backed up because of the snow and ice and the weather.
Yeah.
And he was like, as soon as we can get back out there, we can go. We can move quick.
Yeah, they're waiting. I mean,
you can't.
Engines running.
When there's a sheet of ice, on the roof, on your roof, then
they're not going anywhere.
Nothing you can do about that. So hopefully some of this warm weather. I say warm. I mean, 50 feels warm to me. I don't know.
Heat wave.
Yeah. We'll see if it sticks around or if we're gonna dip back down or if we're gonna see any more rain or snow or whatever. Always love to get that weekend forecast from Steve Templeton. Really helps with making plans for the weekend. Also, today in the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to talk to James Knowles, the former mayor of Ferguson, the city manager of Troy, Missouri. Talk to him about many of these issues that I just rolled out, but also dig into some of the local issues facing our area. Kind of a continuation of the conversation that we had yesterday with Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. All right, Ken. Oh, and Gabe Pfeiffer is going to call in at some point, I think, during the show today, because I really want to get Gabe's thoughts on this Truth Social post that is making news and is one of the most baffling, aggravating, inexcusable moves ever by President Trump. So the White House has now removed and what is being called by the media an election conspiracy video shared by President Trump on social media that included footage depicting former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as monkeys. Their face superimposed on animated monkeys. A White House official said a staffer, quote, erroneously made the post, which has now been taken down, which is different than what the White House was saying a couple of hours ago when Caroline Leavitt addressed the issue, saying, quote, please stop the fake outrage and report on something today that actually matters to the American public. Trump shared this video last night on Truth Social at 11:44 p.m. What do they say? Nothing good happens after midnight? Maybe nothing good happens 15 minutes before midnight either. Now, a link to that video if you go to Trump's post and try to link to the video, it shows page not found. So it's been taken down. It's a 62-second video. It's 1 minute and 2 seconds. And the first minute, so 60 of the 62 seconds, is a guy with one of the voting machines, kind of talking about the inner workings of the voting machines that were used in 2020 and talking about, what happened in 2020 and the data that showed that the count was going one way in many polling places around the country, and then everybody went home for the night, which was very strange and questionable, obviously, and we still don't have those answers. And then said that once everybody came back in the morning, suddenly there was a drastic change in the way the votes were coming in and leaning. And then at the very end, the last 2 seconds, there's a snippet of the song "When the Lion Sleeps Tonight" and the image of Barack and Michelle Obama. It's the most inexcusable, baffling, error, self-owned, unforced error, whatever you want to call it, that the White House could, or the president could possibly do at this moment. Ken, you've been in, you guys had, your 3-hour show already this afternoon, and then you've been in studios and working ever since then. So I know you haven't really had a chance to see too much of this.
No, I haven't seen it at all. I heard someone talk about it. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
So I know you haven't had a chance to really look into it and form an opinion about it.
Well, I have an opinion.
It doesn't feel. But I like when we were just talking about this right before the show. I mean, if you would have walked in here and told me about this, my first thing would be, that can't be real. Are you sure? Are you sure it's not like a fake thing? Are you sure it's not like the Babylon Bee, or it wouldn't? I mean, they wouldn't do this, but you know what I mean, like a fake news story. It's not. The White House it has addressed it, talked about it. It's on all the CNN, NBC News, CBS News, ABC News, even the BBC. It's the top story on almost every media outlet. Certainly the mainstream media outlets, and at a time when the president not only needs to, and Republicans need to keep positive momentum and make their case to the American voters, and you can make the argument that they've got the momentum, that they had the wind at their back. This is the most, I can't think of a better way to destroy that momentum than with something as horrible as a post like this.
Well, there's two parts to this, Tony, and I can only go by what I heard.
Yeah,
and their heads being superimposed on top of monkeys. That's just, there's no excuse for that, and it's wrong, and you should never even be doing that. It just on so many different levels. There's two parts, though. I said
the White House said it was a internet meme showing characters from The Lion King, and it depicted Trump as king of the jungle and Barack and Michelle and others as the
I get it,
plebeians, I guess.
I get it, man.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's something like where President Trump needs to come on and say, "Look, here's the deal. Here's how I feel. This is wrong. I get it. It was something because I'll be on the side of there was an error. Somebody did something wrong.
That's the other question.
If he doesn't own it, if he says, yes, I feel this way, this is why it happened, and I made sure that it's not going to happen again, that's the problem you run into, Tony. You can't give the left any of this.
Yeah.
They cannot
and they
have this.
On a silver platter.
Right. And it's such a wrong thing for anybody to do, let alone the whole idea of it is disgusting. Okay. So with that, that's where President Trump needs to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then he needs to come out and say, because if it's on his name, I don't care who did it.
Yeah.
It's on his name.
And does he not post? Because we've always been sort of told and led to believe that all of those Truth Social posts, all of the tweets back in the day were coming directly from the president. He talked about how that is his way, and he's used that those social media outlets very, very effectively.
Okay, then he needs to come out and he needs to explain that.
So is he not the one posting?
No, I
Are
need.
we supposed to believe that now? I mean,
Right.
I'm just now like
No.
That's another layer of this is like because this though the updated statement from the White House saying that this was erroneously made by a staffer means that White House staffers are posting on Truth Social as Donald Trump. Is that a normal thing? Because now I got questions about that. They're not. I'm not. Not as deep as the questions I have about this post, but I have questions about that now as well.
Right.
Because
you
made like a couple dozen posts last night. The Truth Social was just on fire. So was the president doing all of that? Were staffers doing it? Who runs the accounts? And the president, who is not good at saying, I made a mistake, I messed up, this should have never happened, needs to do that in a big, big way. And whatever he said, if it was a staffer, you better show me the proof and make me believe that it was a staffer, because this is ugly stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and if it's a case of, well, yeah, most of the posts I do are from me, but there are other people who do them as well for me in my place. Well, you got to say that, and you got to stick to it. But whatever the case may be, again, it's in his name. Whatever it is, he needs to clear it up. This is not a case of, Caroline Levitt coming out and saying, well, here's what happened. No, that I don't think that that's good enough, because here's why. And yes, it's a bad look, a bad move, but at the same time, you don't want to be giving the left something like this, because all they're going to do is now death to Donald Trump. Death to him for whatever it is.
It gives them.
It doesn't matter.
It gives them validation for all the claims and things that they have said about Donald Trump for years and years.
Well, I don't think everything, Tony.
No, I know, but in their mind it does.
In their mind,
their mind it does, and in the minds of the mainstream media it does. And it's an impossible thing to. You can't defend it. It's they can just point to that and say, well, of course he's racist. Look at this, and it's I have to flip test. We talk about the flip test all the time.
Yeah.
But I also flip test my own beliefs. And if this would have been the Biden administration making a social media post with Tim Scott's face on an ape's body, I mean, we would be apoplectic.
Well, things like that have happened. I mean, I can
know.
reference.
You're right.
They've done it, and what the media does, they go, well, we don't want to put that out there. I mean, Joe Biden said so many racist things you can't even count them. Words. I mean, coming out of his mouth that the media said, oh, he just means this. See, that's the difference. Okay, but this is not going to happen that way. This is not going to happen for Donald Trump. Donald Trump himself, I believe, needs to come out and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's what happened, and that's it. And then the media is going to continue to be, oh, he's I don't care what he said. He's a racist.
Yeah.
That's fine, because that's what they've always said anyway.
So Gabe Pfeiffer is available. He's making some time for us today because he wanted to chime in on this. He's going to join us in just a second. Let's take a quick break, Ashlyn. Sorry about the on the fly stuff here. Let's take a quick break. Then we're going to talk to Gabe Pfeiffer. And, this is very important, and I want to talk about it, but I also want to talk about, there's other very important stories of the day, too, that I want to get to as we go through the afternoon. So stick around. Ken Williams is here in studio with us, and Gabe Pfeiffer is going to join us on the line next.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom getting
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
My seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar, and I know I gave it to you months ago.
News News, analysis, opinion.
He should pick up the phone, and he should say that he will cooperate with this president, making Minnesota safer.
We know there's organized groups. We know there's funding. Who's inciting the violence?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Bluff City Outdoors in Alton, Illinois, your number one place in the St. Louis area for your outdoor needs, fishing, bow hunting, trapping, and more. The guys from the Bluff City Outdoors show were in studio with me yesterday at the end of the show for about 3:25 to 3:45. Miss any of that conversation, go and check it out on the podcast. And, of course, tune in every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. for the Bluff City Outdoors show right here on News Talk STL, where we talk about all of those outdoor activities. It's a great way to, on the weekends, unplug and talk about some great recreational activities that we all take part in. And, if the weather's starting to warm up, could be about that time to start getting back outside and getting back on the water and doing some fishing and things like that. And again, nobody has your fishing needs covered, your bow hunting needs covered, your trapping needs covered. You can shoot every day in the archery range at Bluff City Outdoors. It's just a great place, open 7 days a week over there in Alton, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's on East Broadway in Alton. And you can learn more and follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Kind of got the old gang back together. I wish it was for a better reason than this, but it's great to have Gabe Pfeiffer on the line with us. Gabe is usually with us on Mondays these days, but for a very long time, he was part of the Friday conversation with Ken Williams and myself. Ken is in studio as well. So, Gabe, I really appreciate your time. I know you're busy today especially, so really appreciate you making some time for us. Again, I wish it was under better circumstances, but
Yeah, really.
I can't think of anybody better that I'd like to talk to about this than you.
Hey, Gabe.
Yeah, you said earlier.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
We were texting off the air earlier, and you mentioned, I'll let you obviously speak for yourself, but just talking about your experience as a black conservative trying to put forward that message into a demographic that has been, I think, corrupted and lied to by the left for so long. And then something like this happens today, and we were just talking about it with Ken, so we're just continuing the conversation about the Truth Social post with the depiction of Barack and Michelle Obama, their faces superimposed on the bodies of monkeys. The White House originally said it was a Lion King internet parody. Now they're saying a White House staff. I don't know if you've seen the latest on this, Gabe. Now the White House is saying that it was erroneously posted by a White House staffer. It's been taken down. Yeah, your thoughts?
Well, I think that the thing is, this is one of those types of unforced errors that always
I posted a meme to our group chat of a guy, with a cigarette kind of dangling in his hands. He's got his head in his hands. He's like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this again? And yeah, it makes me want to smoke. It makes me want to pick up smoking, because having to deal with these unforced errors is detrimental to the cause overall. I mean, and the thing is, because it is an unforced error, you can't look and say, no, it's the Democrats creating a narrative, it's the Democrats doing this, because they do that stuff. Believe me,
they do.
Oh yeah, do. But the thing is, we don't have to give them ammunition to use to pelt us with, and I think that's what happens when we have these types of unforced errors. Now, the main example I gave, kind of in our little
text
text discussion was that, now I'm going to have to explain this to my black Democrat friends who I've been trying to convince to go the conservative route. Because the thing is, a lot of black folks, black culture for a long time in this country has been, pretty conservative socially. It's been relatively conservative in the economic department when you actually get down to the nitty gritty of how they believe, economics should work. So it should be a gettable demographic. You should be able to say, hey, us conservatives over here, largely represented by the Republican Party, not always, but most of the time, we represent the best version we're the best political fit to the way you live your lives and the way you think. And of course, the Democrat response has always been, yeah, but they're racist. And that has worked for a generation or two. And the thing, and what those of us who've been basically trying to evangelize the black community have had to deal with is these types of situations where it's like, okay, now you got to explain this. Hey, your boy just posted on his Truth Social this thing. How are you going to explain this one? Tell me again how they're not racist. Now, granted, I don't think Trump is racist. I think this is just Trump's sense of humor. But the thing, you didn't have to give this to the other side to use as a cudgel against us, and it's just really frustrating.
Gabe, is there anything? I was trying to think of how the president could even, address this and somehow explain it. Is there a way? Is there a way? Is there a way that he can limit the damage if he can't, if he can't completely explain it? What do you think the president should do, or what would you like to see him do?
Well, I mean, at most, you could do the sort of politician style apology of "I'm sorry you were offended," essentially, because that's ultimately the truth. I think in this, I'm going off the presumption that Trump is not a racist dude, and that he was doing this because he thought it was funny, and he doesn't like the Obamas specifically. So then, how do you explain the racist implications? You say, well, I wasn't intending it for it to be racist, and that would be the truth. So at the very least, not so much the apology of I should know better and blah blah blah, but certainly I didn't mean to offend you guys. I just don't like the Obamas. That would be a very Trumpian. Like if he could just default to I don't like the Obamas, and I meant it specifically for the Obamas. That would be, I think, be the closest thing to an apology available. But the thing is, it doesn't matter, which is ultimately the problem, because the damage is done. Anybody who was already thinking of Trump as a racist, they're just going to continue to. The people who are on the fence are the ones who are the most affected, and they have already taken it the way they're going to take it. I don't think there's anything that can be done to salvage it.
Yeah, Gabe, I don't think it's only a situation where you go into the black community. I think it's like me going home to my friends who are Democrat, my family members, and saying, "See, look, this is that one thing." And you can't give someone on the left that kind of ammunition. No. I mean, it's terrible.
It's not handing the other side a machine gun. It's handing them an atom bomb.
It really is. I mean, you can't do that. Now, I'm not going to excuse this. I think it's disgusting from my perspective. And, I think you're being too kind, actually, Gabe. I think, for him to say, well, I thought it was something else. Yeah, that's kind of a stretch for me. I think President Trump needs to come out. He needs to bear all and say, look, and let the chips fall where they may. Because first of all, you and I both know, and Tony knows, that this is not going to change anything that the left's going to say. Nothing he does, like you said, the damage is already done. But what he can do is he can come out and say, here's what happened, and this, I didn't even really look at it this way. Whatever he says, it's not going to make it that better, but it's at least going to say, hey, I'm on board here. I'm not that. I am just not that. You're going to think it anyway, but I'm not that.
Right.
Gabe, is there any way the news cycle moves quick? We all have very short attention spans. How long does this is this damaging for the president all the way through and Republicans all the way through the midterms? I guess you can't and there's really it really does, a lot of that hinges on the actions of the president in the next 24, 48 hours. How he responds, could change, the answer to this question. But, continue to produce for the American people and make people's lives better than they were under the Democrats. I mean, I don't even know how you.
How do you address this? Right?
I don't know how do you get away from it? Yeah.
I think the news cycle is going to help that this happened early relative to the election, so it's not going to be top of mind for most people going into the ballot box. But for sure, the Democrats are going to fundraise off of it. There are going to be screenshots of it and going out in emails. I would think as we speak, going out to their donors. And the donor class, so their coffers may be overflowing, so that could have an effect. Basically having a thicker wallet going into the election cycle. They have been stumbling a little bit on fundraising, so that'll help the Democrats. I don't think, other than maybe a throwaway thing in an ad coming up in the election cycle, they might try to do this whole thing. And connect whatever local candidate to Trump and say, hey, this is our evidence of Trump's racism kind of thing. But again, I'm not sure that that's going to impact the squishy middle, whatever squishy middle actually gets out to vote in the midterms.
And whatever's left of that squishy middle these days, we'll see.
Well, and again, I'll say I personally do not believe President Trump is a racist. I just don't.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, he's got to come out and say, "Look, here's the deal. I mean, it is what you saw is obviously what it is, and here's I'm going to explain it as best I can." I mean, it's not going to change. Nothing in the left's going to change. Mm-hmm. They just got some ammunition. It's just honestly, he needs to come out.
Honestly, he should just give you like, "Look, I'm not a racist, but I am an a-hole." And I did that wouldn't be bad.
I hate the Obamas. I hate the Obamas that much.
I hate the Obamas so much. Yeah.
That it clouded my thinking. Maybe I don't know.
It's either racist or it's just directed, to hurt the Obamas because they know how hurtful that type of imaging could be.
But that's not right either.
Or it's stupidity. No, none of it's right. But it's one of those. It's one of those three things.
I can think of 50 different things I could do to hurt a person.
Right, I know, but I'm just saying that this is only one of those things.
Right,
it's either like
I'm with you.
A manifestation of his hatred for the Obamas, even though he knows that this is wrong, and he just is like thinking that, well, I'm just directing this at them. I'm not talking to the Obamas. I'm not talking to the entire black community. It's either that, or it is racist, or it's galactically stupid. There's no other.
Yeah,
it's one of those three.
Right.
I believe. Gabe, listen, I know that this was a tight day for you. I really appreciate you taking a moment out and joining us. So thanks a lot, and talk to you on Monday, I hope. Thanks, Gabe.
Yep, thanks, guys.
It's good to hear from you, Gabe.
Yeah, News Talk STL contributor Gabe Pfeiffer, former co-host of Mike Ferguson in the morning. And like I said, you can usually hear Gabe every Monday with us here on Colombo and Company. All right, got a little more time here with Ken Williams before we get that weekend forecast from Steve Templeton. Obviously, this story and this Truth Social post is an issue that we'll continue to keep an eye on. If there's any more from the president or the White House on this, and I'm sure we'll talk about it with James Knowles in the 3 o'clock hour a little bit, and in the coming days. So we'll keep very, very close eye on this. Trump RX or Eric Schmidt? Let's try to do both. Eric Schmidt rolled out yesterday, his Protect America Act. It's a colossal legislation package. I'm not going to get into all the details. That would punish sanctuary cities, enhance penalties for illegal entry and re-entry into the United States, boost protections for federal agents, and defund corrupt non-governmental organizations, NGOs, or non-profits. This is great. It makes attacking a federal agent a felony. It makes illegal. It makes entry into the country a felony and re-entry a felony. It boosts protections for ICE officers. This is a big issue that's going to unfold in the next few days, especially after the weekend. We'll just be days away from having to make a decision on funding for DHS and ICE. It's the one dangling participle out there still from the government shutdown debate. I think Republicans already made a big mistake by even entertaining this negotiation and saying that we'll give you 10 days to continue to negotiate, because there's nothing to negotiate.
There should be nothing.
They
to
shouldn't be
negotiate.
taking anything away from ICE
No.
or DHS in any way. What Eric Schmidt is doing is pushing back even harder, which I think is what many or most probably conservatives want to see. It's in direct contrast to the list of demands that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats put out earlier this week. How do you feel about the idea of getting this package done, a funding package for DHS and ICE? Do you feel like the Republicans are on the verge of caving? Do you think they'll hold strong and back up Eric Schmidt's bill here? What's your gut tell you on this?
Well, first of all, Tony, if I was the mayor of a city in this country, could I call it a sanctuary city and say it's only for good robbers, for good criminals who rob banks?
Unfortunately, I think you honestly could right now.
Okay,
in this country.
That's my point, though. Where the hell did sanctuary cities or states come from in the first place? Because they should be outlawed anyway.
Yeah.
There should not be a city where, well, if you're doing this illegal activity, come on in.
Yeah.
We're going to take care of
It's
you.
lawless cities, not sanctuary cities.
Right.
It's lawless cities because we don't follow the law here.
How far is an illegal alien who's actually created crime? How far is that a stretch from being a bank robber? How far? It's not too far. I mean, I think it's far enough to use it as an analogy, and it could be a realistic one. Oh, come on into the city because, well, if you rob banks, you're okay. We like those people. I think they should be ended, number one. Number two, I think it's a great move on his part. We should get rid of these things. They should not be in this country. A sanctuary city should not exist. A sanctuary state, it's like, what are you saying? Partially illegal city or state.
So part of this pack, this is how literally like in 100% disagreement with the Democrats. Just like this is just one example of that. The Democrats' list of demands is that going forward, if ICE and DHS goes into a state or city in the country, then that state's law enforcement and the city's local law enforcement have oversight over the federal agents. So ICE has to get permission or run everything by the local police departments before they do anything. Eric Schmidt's bill is exactly the opposite. It's that if not only would it not allow that type of oversight from the local law enforcement or the mayor's offices in those cities, if those cities interfere at all with ICE operations, or they release prisoners that have an ICE detainer on them, then those cities will be penalized, have funding taken away, have federal dollars taken away, everything that the federal government can possibly do to punish them.
Which they should.
But something's got to give in like 6 days. And this is how far apart we are.
Well, first of all, if the Republicans give up anything, they're done.
Amen.
Midterms,
Amen.
Forget it. People won't be showing up for them. But the second part of this is you've got them saying, well, you if you come in a sanctuary city, we'll take control. And essentially what they'll do is they'll say, you stay right here and nothing will happen. Tony, if all Minneapolis would have done is said, okay, we're going to work with these guys, let's get their people that they want and get them out of here, nobody would have been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
They would have went into the prisons, first of all, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them, and said, let's have your people. They have the ones we want, the criminals that are illegal, and let's go.
Yeah.
They would have kept them off the streets, first of all. The ones that were on the streets, they could have assisted them had it happened so quickly. They do it in other cities.
Yep.
They're doing it right now in other cities, heavier than they did in Minneapolis. No one's hearing about it. Why? Because they don't have the mayor and the governor sitting there saying, go out in the streets.
And the paid protesters.
Exactly right, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as that goes, I think what Eric Schmidt's trying to do there, I think is great. Will it pass? Who knows? I doubt it.
Yeah, and just the idea that the Republicans allowed for this 10-day negotiation period does not give me a good feeling about how it's going to play out.
No.
And obviously, that'll be a major story of next week. One more here for Ken Williams before we get the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton. Trump RX rolled out last night. I talked to Dr. Tobler on the show yesterday. It was before the announcement, so we didn't have all the details, but we had, a good chunk of it. Tobler, perfect guy to talk to with the medical background. He seemed to like the idea if, the president and the White House can really, pull it off. And, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to health care. But personally, I like the idea. We talked about the favorite nations clause a couple of weeks ago. Donald Trump has already made big strides in the healthcare area, especially recently. This could add to it. How do you feel about Trump RX?
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact that he's not immersing himself in, well, we're going to save you money. I like the idea. It's you go to the site, trumprx.gov, right? I think that is. Mm-hmm. And then you can see all the different updated pharmaceuticals that you can get cheaper. So if you're really into some any drug that maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with, but you were paying $900 for it, now you're paying $35. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And from what I understand about this whole thing, he's going to continue and the art of the deal, work deals with these pharmaceutical companies to put even more lists of pharmaceuticals up for people. So keep checking it out. Hopefully that's going to make a difference for a lot of people, I think.
And to your point, and what is so important to this, and the difference of the White House and the conservative approach to this than what we've seen from the left will say, yeah, it's going to be cheaper for you because we're going to pay the extra part of it.
Who?
This is the White House saying, the government, we'll give you, Medicare benefits and but the drug companies are still getting all their money. You might not have to pay as much. The president is saying, no, the prices are just getting lower.
Yeah.
So you're in control, and your tax dollars aren't being funneled to these drug companies and insurance companies anymore. This is a much better way to do it.
What I just heard you say is, yes, the Democrats, had they done this, it would have been that way.
Yeah.
Hey, pharmaceutical companies, you're getting the same amount of money.
They would have bragged about lowering prices.
Well, just like they did with the EVs.
But they would have been still paying full price.
Tony, they did that with the EVs. That's proof right there. The EVs were all subsidized. I don't know if people realize this, but every EV that was sold in this country was subsidized by the United States government. There were thousands of dollars we paid to each person to buy one of those cars.
Yeah, this I'm very interested in, and going to be keeping a close eye on this because there's a lot of government influence and drug companies and insurance companies that all got their fingers in there. But if Trump can pull this off in any way whatsoever, this is a massive step in the right direction.
It's one good thing to help the American people in the affordability thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken Williams from the Vic Porcelli Show. Fridays are supposed to be like
Fun.
getting ready for the weekend.
It's Friday.
But geez, so much going on this busy Friday afternoon. We're going to get back into the news of the day with the former mayor of Ferguson, current city manager of Troy, Missouri, James Knowles, going to join us in about 15 minutes. We're going to get the weekend forecast from Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton next. Don't forget to tune in every day, 9 a.m. to noon, every weekday here on News Talk STL to Vic Porcelli and Ken Williams. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, thanks, Tony. Hey, thanks, Ashlyn.
Have a great weekend, dude. All right, that weekend forecast coming your way next.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Today, story behind the story, when I co-hosted a TV program competing against All in the Family.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
This is Tony Colombo, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the cheesesteak made with American Wagyu beef from Snake River Farms, and you have to include a side of their amazing fries. I love Capriati's, and you will too.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble, and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right.
It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Steve Templeton's Weekend Forecast, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. As I mentioned, we're going to get back into some of the national stories and some local issues in the 3 o'clock hour when we are joined by James Knowles, the former mayor of Ferguson, current city manager of Troy. We'll also have some Friday fun time because we need it. Lighten the mood, try to have some fun heading into the weekend today. So definitely keep it here for that. Right now, joining us on the line, as he does every Friday afternoon for the weekend forecast, Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. And Steve, I earlier I said that the wind chill is 90. It feels like it feels like it's the temperature's 50, but the wind chill's 90. It really feels way warmer than it actually is because of where we've been. I love it. I'll take it, but is it going to last? That's the big question.
Yeah, it won't last, but the brief cool down hits Saturday, and then we resume the warming trend Sunday, and even warmer Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So even though it won't last, we'll get back to the warming trend pretty quickly here. It's just kind of a little blip in the radar here for Saturday, which is the cool down. So tonight we do drop down to 26. That's pretty much near normal, but it's a colder night for sure compared to what we woke up to this morning. And then 37 in the afternoon. Now, I know colder than the near 50 degrees we're at right now, but mostly sunny and 37 really isn't a horrible day.
Yeah.
It is dry for your weekend as well, and it gets better. Now, Sunday starts chilly at 28, but warms quickly. 52 degrees, mostly sunny and dry all the way through the weekend.
Oh, my goodness. 52 and sunny on Sunday is going to, people are going to start uncovering the pool. This is that time of year. This is my worry. When it was 70 degrees on Christmas, it's early enough in the season that and I think you and I even talked about it. I said, this is great around Christmas time and around New Year's. I said, this is great, but that other shoe is going to drop, and boy, did it ever.
We're going to pay for it, right?
Yeah, and we sure did. Now that we're into February, which, by the way, how in the world is it February already? Now that we're into February, it's next weekend, Valentine's Day. That is so crazy.
Correct.
So crazy.
Yeah.
So, getting into mid-February, you start to fool yourself into like, oh, I guess we've turned the corner. I guess and that's probably a dangerous path to let your mind go down right now if you think
that's
this
exactly the position Mother Nature wants us in. And then she springs, something on us like a big winter storm or freezing rain or something like that. Yeah, that's a foolhardy mentality. I think we still got a lot of winter to go. Let me remind you that last year, in February 20th, I believe it was, we went down to 0 degrees and we had at least 3 days, if not 4 days, with single-digit lows. So even late February can still get really cold. Obviously, you can get snow all the way into March. So I think, March is probably the time where maybe then you start to let your mind wander towards, hey, the worst is behind us. We're good.
Yeah.
Because if you do get anything in March, it's quick, right? It's like a quick one-day cool down, a one-day snow, and then it melts. But we're not there yet.
I take it personally when that happens in March. Like my birthday's in March. So I'm like, I have an affinity for March, and I'm like, you know what? This is supposed to be the beginning of spring. What do you do? I really take it personally when that happens. You know what? I wanted to touch on this, too, before we let you go. Talking to Steve Templeton, Chief Meteorologist over at Channel 4. I mentioned last week, one day I left a little earlier than usual, and it was in the 6 o'clock hour, right at 6 o'clock. And I get outside, and there was a little bit of light in the sky. I couldn't believe. I was like, "What is that?"
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Are we? We're obviously turning the corner and getting more sunshine, and I don't know if that impacts the weather in any way, but it definitely makes you feel like we're getting, we're starting to get through the worst of it.
I think at this point it's kind of incremental and more mental. It helps you, when you come outside and it's light and not dark. That's kind of nice. But yeah, absolutely. Over time, that definitely helps. The trend is warmer and warmer because you have more daylight hours, and that's how we warm up. The sun heats the earth heats the air, and that's how things get warm. So in more and more sunshine hours of the day, you definitely start to trend warmer. But I think for right now, it's more of like a mental thing.
Yeah, and
but
then
it's nice.
And you said that it starts to, after a little dip back down tomorrow, 52 and sunny on Sunday, and it kind of holds that way for just like the near future, as far as we can really tell now. Does it look like it's going to kind of hold that way, at least temporarily?
No, we're going to get warmer, actually. I've got 60 on Monday and sunshine, 66 on Tuesday, and then a cold front comes through, and it's back to 50s and 40s, but not like the deep freeze like last week. I just don't see any of that. So we could get some rain next week. It might mix with some snow or wintry mix at times, but right now it looks like the best bet is just for rain Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning and cooling down into the 40s the rest of the week.
I'm gonna pretend like the forecast stopped at Tuesday, and that's all I'm gonna think about. As far as I'm concerned, my whole life is just the next 4 days, and that sounds pretty great.
Enjoy the weekend first, right?
Absolutely. Steve, thank you so much, as always, for all the insight and keeping us informed on what's happening out there with the weather. Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend yourself, my friend.
My pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
Take care.
You. Yeah, great stuff there. That is Channel 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. All right, we are going to get back into some of the news of the day. We're going to be joined by the former mayor of Ferguson, James Knowles. He is the city manager of Troy. I want to tell you about some of that stuff happening with Ilhan Omar back in the news. There's an investigation into how she has gotten so rich since she joined Congress. I think we all know, but at least there's an investigation. We'll talk about that and more next.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, it's Vic. If you have a tree that you think is dead, you can get Roots Plus to remove it for you. Or if you think the tree is savable, or if Roots Plus thinks it's savable, they can save your tree and you keep your cash. Call them and find out what that's all about at 314-440-3662. The crews are great. They get things done. They removed the tree for me, and they did expert work, and I definitely will put my name on their company. So save the tree with Roots Plus LLC. RootsPlusLLC.com.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
Down through the years, we've had almost everybody from the NFL on the show, and this weekend you're going to hear them all, like Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, and Joe Montana. Broadcasters like Joe Buck and Pat Summerall, plus great stories from Al Michaels and Drew Brees, and lots of comedy, all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. has arrested a key participant in the 2012 attack on a U.S. compound in Benghazi, Libya. The attack killed 4 Americans, including the ambassador, Chris Stevens. At the time, the administration of then President Obama seemed to downplay management errors that led to the tragedy.
Hillary Clinton famously once said about Benghazi, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, it makes a difference to Donald Trump. It makes a difference to those families. And 14 years later, it makes a difference to law enforcement who made the difference in this case.
Attorney General Pam Bondi today announcing the arrest of Zabar al-Bakush. 3 people were killed, 6 others injured when a 92-year-old driver lost control of his vehicle and slammed into a grocery store yesterday in the Los Angeles neighborhood of Westwood.
There were multiple patrons that were inside. There's seating and table areas. We had, again, a total of 9 patients here. And tragically, 3 of those individuals were beyond any medical help.
That's Captain Eric Scott of the Los Angeles City Fire Department. President Trump deleted a racist social media post after backlash from some Republican allies in Congress.
The president posted a video portraying former President Obama and his wife as apes in a jungle. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the meme, telling critics to stop the fake outrage. But the video, which has since been removed, was denounced by Democrats and Republicans alike.
That's correct. Clarkson reporting the administration has launched a new website to help patients buy prescription drugs at lower prices.
Dozens of the most commonly used prescription drugs will be available at dramatic discounts for all consumers throughout a new website. It's called TrumpRx.gov.
At the close on Wall Street, the Dow up more than 1,200 points. More from townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the clouds will be on the increase a little bit this afternoon, but still a nice day with a high in the upper 40s. Those temperatures are going to level off and actually drop off a little bit late this afternoon into this evening. So upper 40s, we're melting some snow, and that's all that really matters. I think it brief step backwards with high temperatures tomorrow in the mid-30s. But then we're in the 50s on Sunday and sunny skies. Should be a dry weekend, too. I'm First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Fox News Commentary with Guy Benson, next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us, and it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Here's Guy Benson.
The people who are against immigration enforcement and who support criminal illegal immigrants are demanding the papers of passersby, including just free Minnesotans, because they are hunting down law enforcement and they want to obstruct them. This is what they're doing. They're blockading some of the streets in Minneapolis, and reportedly the cops are like barely doing anything about it, which is another black eye. We've seen the police force in that city depleted dramatically, and I understand entirely why you wouldn't want to serve in a city that's so deep blue where the local officials seem to hate you and will not have your back. Nevertheless, there's a job to do, and it is unbelievably embarrassing to have these guerrilla militias doing checkpoints in the streets of a major American city, deciding who can pass in their cars.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
You show the lights that stop me, turn to stone. You shine it when I'm alone. And so I tell myself that I'll be strong and dreaming when they're gone. 'Cause they're calling, calling, calling me home. Calling, calling, calling home. You show the lights that stop me, turn to stone. You shine it when I'm alone. Voices I play within my head.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Great stuff in the 2 o'clock hour, breaking down all of the important news of the day with our buddy Ken Williams from the Vic Porcelli Show. Gabe Pfeiffer calling in also as we discuss the controversy surrounding Donald Trump's Truth Social post last night. We also got the weekend forecast from Steve Templeton from Channel 4. So if you've missed any of that stuff, go back and check it out on the podcast. Best way to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on the show. We put the show out as a podcast right before we get off the air every day. And we put it basically on every podcast platform. So wherever your favorite place to get podcasts is on that platform, subscribe to Colombo and Company. All right, we are getting our buddy James Knowles, the former mayor of Ferguson, on the line, the current city manager of Troy. Want to dig into some of the local issues of the day and also get you up to speed on some of the other news happening out there, including a House Oversight investigation into Ilhan Omar and her sudden influx of wealth, and a similar report out about Ayanna Presley, another member of the squad this week. So, yeah, a lot going on there. We have James on the line, I believe, with us. James, are you there?
I am.
Great to talk with you, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So you were in, well, you're still, you're still in city management, but you were an elected official for a long time. How come your net worth didn't go from, $50,000 to $50 million? What did you do wrong?
I've been saying that for years. I think my wife probably wonders the same thing. I'm like, what did I do wrong? It's unfortunate. You might remember, and I was proud to know Todd Aiken, who was our congressman in the 2nd District before Ann Wagner. He was a congressman who served for many years. Very simply, he passed away, unfortunately, but, lived simply, didn't make money off of being in office. And, I always kind of felt like he seemed like a guy who you could tell he was as honest to a fault because he didn't make any money off of being a congressman,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow people find a way to just bankroll. I mean, look at Cori Bush. I mean, she goes from being a self-described homeless person to raking it in as a congressperson, and she wants to be a congressperson again, probably because she has no other income. So
yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. I mean, these people find a way to bank off of being in office, and it's a shame. I mean,
and it's
being a local government person, public service, and that's why we do it.
Yeah, it's been going on. It's been going on for decades, but it's been. I don't know if it's more egregious now or if it's just more well known now. Because I mean, we look at some of these Congress members like Ilhan Omar, who I want to dig in. I want to get the update specifically here in a second. But a lot's been made of her most recent filings about her financial status, and just in literally a year, her husband's businesses go from being worth nothing to millions of dollars in a year. I mean, it's just the red flags and it's so obvious that it's happening, and hopefully it's something that voters are gonna care about and hold people accountable, if nowhere else but at the ballot box this year and in the coming years.
And I think a lot of it has to do with, look at, and I use Todd Aiken as an example, but I was friends with Kenny Hulshoff, people like Ike Skelton, other congressmen from Missouri. Some of it might be the time in which you're in office. I mean, if you're in office right now and you have inside information and know how to invest, and obviously, we know Nancy Pelosi's made untold millions off of this insider knowledge. When you've got a booming economy, tech bubble, AI, all of the things that these people know on the inside, and they get in early, they make untold millions. If you're a congressman in the 90s and you didn't get the drop on, a tech bubble or something, you probably didn't make any money off of it. And if you were a person who didn't serve on the right committee, you probably didn't either. And if you just were a good public servant who didn't take all of his money and go, I'm going to dump it into trying to make money off my office, you probably had a reasonably, well-funded life, but nothing like these people have now. And I think that's the sad thing. I think whether it's Ilhan Omar or AOC are these people who would have nothing, absolutely nothing in their lives if they were out there, trying to make something of themselves like you and me on a daily basis. Instead, they're millionaires, multi-millionaires, and they're propped up and they're gaining off of their office. It's terrible. I mean, I couldn't get away with that as a mayor. I certainly couldn't get away with it as a city administrator. If I was anyway connected to a dealing that the city was involved in, that I was overseeing, I'd be in jail right now.
Mm-hmm. And none of these people, not only are they not not only are they not in jail, but they've gotten away with it, and even publicly talked about it. It's been publicly addressed, and they say, well, there's nothing to see here, and there's, just because we're in Congress shouldn't mean that we're not allowed to invest our income like every other American, except for you have influence over what businesses and stocks do well and don't. I don't think that Congress people should be involved in the stock market like that. But that's a whole other conversation. But certainly, they're not. They're obviously not playing at the same level as you and I. And I don't. I'll believe it when I see it. When I see anybody actually charged. But at least this new information out today from Representative Comer out of Kentucky is a step in the right direction, a first step. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman James Comer is demanding documents from the husband of Representative Ilhan Omar after financial disclosures showed his business holdings skyrocketed in value. A surge, Republicans say, raises red flags about transparency, investor influence, and potential misconduct. In a release earlier today, Comer said financial disclosure forms filed by Omar indicate that her husband, Tim Minett, we've talked about this, holds ownership stakes in two companies, something called Estate Crew, which is it's the dumbest spelling of estate that you could. Listen to how this is spelled. lowercase e, capital S, lowercase t, capital C, lowercase ru. East State Crew. He should be in jail for that. And Rose Lake Capital LLC. Go ahead.
He couldn't even name it something cool like Motley Crue.
Oh,
right?
it's horrible.
CRUE with like the umlaut over the U or something. Like,
Yes. So those businesses reported value surged from a combined total. The two of them, those two businesses together a year ago, were worth $51,000. Now it's somewhere around $30 million. Comer said the lack of publicly available investor information for the firms makes the dramatic increase particularly concerning. Quote, given that these companies do not publicly list their investors or where their money comes from, the sudden jump in value raises concerns that unknown individuals may be investing to gain influence with your wife, Comer wrote in a letter to Minot, dated February 5th, so just this week. Noted the financial disclosures, the winery, which is the estate crew, the winery whose website doesn't work. You can't buy wine from this winery. The telephone number is disconnected, and somehow it went from being worth $50,000 to being worth $5 million in the last year. A winery that doesn't sell wine, James. So again, I could go into the details of this, but at least there's an investigation. Do you have any confidence that somebody will actually be held accountable for possible crimes?
Well, I think before that happens, I'd like to call my investor and ask him if I can get on the Elon Omar Index Fund, because she's rocking it and I'm not. So
yeah,
I'm going to be working forever, and she's got the drop. I mean, I should just give her my money and say, hey, babe, here's my money, invest it alongside you, and we'll call it square, I guess. I mean,
I don't know if she still does it, but the last time I heard her asked the question, the last time that I'm aware that she was asked by a reporter if she was a millionaire, or when a reporter said that, like, made the claim that she was a millionaire, she said, no, I'm not. I'm not a millionaire. What are you talking about? You can't. Like, I mean,
she hasn't logged into her portfolio.
How stupid does she think that we are? And then Ayanna Presley, I touched on this a little bit yesterday, but just to highlight this situation, it's running rampant in Congress, and I'm not saying that there's not any Republicans that that haven't benefited from this type of thing as well, and if they, just like anybody else, they should be held accountable as well. But these squad members seem to really have the golden touch. Representative Ayanna Presley dodged questions this week about her climbing wealth. She said, sir, I submit a financial disclosure just like everyone else. There's nothing to see here, in an interview with Fox News. Her office did not respond to additional requests for comments. Presley's net worth is the latest among progressives in the House of Representatives to come under scrutiny. According to financial disclosures, Presley's worth went from $12,500 before she was elected in 2018 to now $8 million. Her congressional salary is $174,000. She's been in office for 8 years. 174,000 times 8, I don't think is 8 million, but that's what's happened. No. But that's what happened. And here's the other thing. Here's the other part of it. The hypocrisy, because a lot of her wealth, according to her own filings, are from owning rental properties in Massachusetts and in Florida and other places. She's a member of the squad. I thought landlords were evil and rent was evil.
What about rent control?
Yeah. So not only is she, and just wealth in general, millionaires are evil. Not only is she a wealthy, privileged millionaire, but she's doing it in a way, she's making her money in a way that she will, tell the American people is evil. You shouldn't be a landlord. You shouldn't charge rent. Yeah. If people can't pay rent, that's okay. That's how she's making all her money, though.
Stolen land, right?
Right.
I mean, what's the deal?
I mean, do you feel like, so we talked a lot, and I don't know if you want to touch on the Donald Trump Truth Social post about the Obamas, which is, we really got into that in the last hour, and, it's gross and inexcusable.
He shouldn't have touched that with a 10-foot pole.
Oh my God, it is awful. But
ridiculous.
I bring it up only because with all of this happening this week, and this investigation into Ilhan Omar, we did a report yesterday about all the lies and financial spending of campaign money that Bernie Sanders and AOC used while they did their fighting oligarchy tour last year. They were flying on private jets that cost $15,000 an hour to operate while flying around the country telling people that millionaires are bad. They're flying private jets and staying in hotel rooms that cost thousands of dollars a night. So all that hypocrisy on display. The stories that we just talked about, everything that you would think would put the momentum at the back of the Republicans right now, as we're now, in over a month into this new year, and the midterm elections are getting closer and closer. How bad? I mean, do you feel like that momentum continues, or do you think that this Truth Social post or anything else, like how do you feel about the momentum of the Republican Party right now at this point of 2026?
Well, I just read that we're up to 30 retirements for the Republicans in the House this year, and that's they can't be good. I mean, there's going to be. I'm always worried about who's on the bench, in any election, at any level, and I know there's this feeling like, hey, let's throw out the old guys and fill it with this new MAGA blood or something, but. I always revert back to the old saying that I want to nominate the most conservative person who can win, in any race, when I'm looking at like other Republicans. And so, I don't know what the primaries are going to look like in a lot of these cities or a lot of these states and districts. I don't know who's going to be our candidates because a lot of the politics are local. We can talk about Trump, we can talk about the momentum, but who are going to be the candidates that come out of the primaries? Who's the Republicans' choices to be the standard bearers in these? I don't know. It certainly doesn't help to have Trump making these kind of when he oversteps his bounds, when he overplays his hand, which he tends to do. I get really concerned because then it overshadows the Ilhan Omars and the AOCs and what they've done, because it becomes the whataboutism. The mainstream media loves to try to cover up all of the horrible things that are happening across the board, either in the Democrats or on the Democratic side of the House, because they can find this one egregious thing to latch onto and then suddenly take all the air out of the room, take all the momentum that conservatives or Republicans have out, and focus on, the stupid video or whatever else may come up.
Yeah.
So I'm always worried about that, but it's February. Honestly, a lot happens within 9 months before the election. I mean, we're almost 9 months to the day before the election. It'll be really interesting to see what happens economically. The economy's got mixed signals all the time. On one hand, Dow hits 50,000. On the other hand, people act like the end of the world's coming. So it'll be what happens on October 1st that probably really makes the difference, I think, in where this midterm is going.
What about the state of Missouri in 2026? Talking to James Knowles, a former mayor of Ferguson, city manager of Troy. We talk to Rodney Boyd every week. We talk to a Missouri legislator, lawmaker every week. It's usually Nick Schroer, but it's there's a kind of a rotation of others. Now I know you're not directly involved in the inner workings of Jeff City, but you've been around local politics for a long time. There's something that feels a little different about 2026, and maybe I'm just being naive, and which I'm that'll be a first because when it comes to at least politics, because I'm usually the biggest pessimist in the room, but I feel like there might be some honest validation to be a little optimistic for once. It seems like, they were able to finally get over the hump with issues that have been around forever, like IP reform in the last session, and they have some momentum going into this session. Education reform, income taxes, personal property taxes, all of these issues that are going to be front and center in Missouri. How do you feel about state politics and this year's legislative session being a positive one for the people of Missouri?
You know, it's hard when you read the headlines of the newspapers and you talk about massive, property tax, either a repeal or a personal property tax repeal or the income tax repeal. And then you also have the Republican state auditor come out and say, like, well, the state's going to be run out of money in 18 months. So, and then you hear, well, we're going to start taxing massages instead of, your income tax, and that's going to make up the difference. There's a lot of that talk that there's so much noise. I would love to know if there was somebody who could really validate a lot of what's being said. I hear people say like, well, we can adopt a tax structure like Tennessee. They don't have income tax. Yeah, but their property taxes are assessed at double what Missouri's is. So, I see these things. I read all sides of it. Everybody seems to be talking past each other. I get a little nervous about what does this really mean in the long run. I don't know.
Yeah. And you know better than anybody, James, about, politicians can talk a good game about financial responsibility, but right up until their project is on the line or their agenda, their priority is going to be affected. And you make a great point that people need to remember, lots of great talk about getting rid of income tax, getting rid of personal property tax. The governor and Republicans in Jeff City say that there's going to be a massive cut to the budget.
Right.
Politicians are not good. Yeah, politicians are not good at giving it away their money. So I think you can replace an income tax with a sales tax, which I'm okay with because you're as a person, you're in more control of the sales tax. I pay for what I buy. I make the decision that I want whatever products or services out there and the tax that comes along with it, rather than just the government coming in and saying, we're just going to take this money out of your paycheck. I like
I totally,
that, but
I totally agree with that.
There's a lot more, but there's still a lot more to figure out there with personal property taxes and budget cuts and things like that.
Well, especially when you're talking about some of those that affect local governments too, and not just local government like a city or a county. People don't realize if you look at your personal property tax or your real estate tax, there's probably, as few as 6 maybe or 8 to as many as 12 funds that your money goes into. And those funds pay for your school district, your special school district, the road and bridge tax that goes to pay for your roads. You've got the developmental disabilities groups that do sheltered workshops. I mean, you go down homeless, charities, you go down the line of what, little pieces of your taxes pay for. And when they talk about getting rid of those taxes, and then suddenly there isn't any money for those people, or there isn't any money for those organizations. Now special school district will be coming and asking for money from the state or for some other way. I mean, they're just going to cut their services. Cities and counties especially, we don't have any of this income tax. So if the state wants to say, look, we're going to give you all your income tax back and we're going to start taxing, something else, I don't have a problem with that. I do have a little bit of a problem if you're going to tax it on, everyday items. I think the conversation about, new taxes on streaming services or other things would probably be a good idea, because that's something that has yet to be taxed, and maybe that would be more effective. But at the same time, they say that, and they're also Spectrum, Netflix, all these people, they do pay local government taxes for using our right-of-ways, and the state has been trying to repeal that for years as a tax break to all of these big companies. And meanwhile, that would take millions away from your counties in your state or your counties in your cities and all the money we spend on policing and roads and operations in the city government. So, everybody goes to Jeff City and for 8 years now, and they have it in their head that they have to find some way to cut your taxes or some way to change something. And sometimes they don't understand the unintended consequences of that. And that's where I get skeptical. I'm all for let's revamp the tax code and look at this, but when you don't do it in conjunction with, the fire district, the school district, or the cities, because every city is different. Our city runs 72% of our money comes from sales tax. Nobody wants to hear about another sales tax, in the city of Troy. But our property taxes are very low. Our property taxes, the property tax in the city of Troy is 1/5 of what it is in O'Fallon. So, you know what? If you live in O'Fallon, you're overtaxed, move yourself on up to Troy. We have beautiful homes, big lots. You don't have to be crammed in there, and you can pay less taxes too.
Yeah.
Instead of having Nick Schroer tell the whole state, hey, I'm going to cut all your taxes, maybe you should just focus on St. Charles County. Like, we still have to grow, build new roads here for all the people who love to come to Lincoln County. We still have to pay for our services and our sheriff's department and everything else. So, we just have to remember there's always unintended consequences. We have to see the big picture.
Yeah, I think folks like Senator Schroer, who is, full disclosure, a friend of mine and a regular guest on the show. I think that he and others, are saying the right thing. They have the right plan in place in many of these areas. But as we know from years and years of being involved in or covering politics, that when it gets, especially when you're cutting funding, when you're taking money away from programs or areas that have become used to government money, all of a sudden things can get very, very difficult. So it'll be, very interesting to see how this plays out through the 2026 legislative session. We're talking to the city manager of Troy, James Knowles, former mayor of Ferguson, and after a very busy, dramatic week, we need to have a little Friday fun time. Going into Super Bowl weekend, I'm not really excited about the Super Bowl, but there is always, all the other stories connected to the Super Bowl, the weird prop bets, the halftime show, and other things like that. We'll discuss those things and more as we have a little Friday fun time with James Knowles next.
It's Friday!
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk. St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Intervine and Intervine.com, of course, the local family-owned business that makes the best flashlights, lanterns, and headlamps available on the market. They're the top-of-the-line products, and it's a local business. I mean, you can't get a better combination than that. And the owner of Intervine, Mike McCleary, our big tech AI expert that joins us every Monday here on the show. Somebody who's very involved in the community and active and, sharing his knowledge and spreading the things that he has learned about when it comes to tech and AI and advertising and all those sort of things. I just can't recommend his company, Intervine, enough. We use Intervine products all the time. Headlamps when I'm working outside at night. We have, flashlights in our glove boxes of our vehicles and various drawers in our home that have come in handy during power outages and things like that. And right now you can get all the products at Intervine. Everything from the, heavy-duty tactical flashlight down to those small, reliable headlamps and flashlights that go easily in a drawer. All of it for 25% off just by using my name, Tony, Tony, as your promo code at Intervine.com. 25% off all the flashlights, all the lanterns, all the headlamps, and even batteries in all different sizes. You can just stock up on AA batteries for 25% off, which is an incredible deal. We do that all the time. Again, just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code at checkout at intervine.com. INTERVINE, intervine.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Hey, want to make a bet on Sunday's game? Super Bowl? I can say that. This is a news commentary, not a sales pitch. It is a betting pitch. Does that make me in violation? Never mind. I'll tell you about the bet in a moment. But first, a guy had put together a list of NFL demands for any city that wants to host that game. First, obviously, the NFL sets ticket prices, and each host city has to have 3 championship-level 18-hole golf courses, 2 top-quality bowling alleys, provided free of charge for charity events. Also, the NFL must get at least 50% of all luxury suites. And if you're planning to fly your private jet into San Jose Airport, landing costs range from $10,000 to $20,000. That's just to land, depending on the size of your jet. Okay, here's the bet. In all these years, no punt has been returned for a touchdown. Not one. Want to bet if that record stands or falls? Or are you still trying to figure out how to pay to land at the airport?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com. NapoliSTL.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for Santino's. It isn't just a cigar lounge. It's an experience spanning 2 levels of pure sophistication. Handcrafted cocktails, authentic Sicilian cuisine with sauces made from scratch. The state-of-the-art smoke filtration keeps the air pristine, while the separate non-smoking wine room offers a perfect alternative. Members enjoy the lowest rates with premium benefits, including the ultimate climate-controlled humidor. Santino's, just off Highway 55 at the Imperial exit, SantinoCigarCocktails.com.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Today, story behind the story, when I co-hosted a TV program competing against All in the Family.
Larry Connors USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8
on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. What a week. Let's have a little Friday fun time as we get ready for the weekend. James Knowles, the city manager of Troy, former Mayor Ferguson, is on the line with us. James, what are you looking forward to more this weekend? The start of the Olympics, the Super Bowl, or something else?
Well, you could appreciate this, but I'm going to Farmington tomorrow to see my daughter's first gymnastics competition.
Hey, all right. I love gymnastics meets. I hope you enjoy it for a long time. It's so great to watch your daughter get, advance and to start to do these crazy skills that, when you have a kid that's, 10 years old that can do physical things that you as a father can't do and never never could. There's just something, the little, it gets you a little bit, but it's also really, really cool. So that's awesome. Good for you guys.
Well, it's been in the middle of wrestling season, so I have a wrestling tournament on Sunday. So this will be a nice change of pace from standing on the side of the mat, because I help coach the team. So standing on the side of the mat screaming at my son, I won't be doing that to my daughter. I'm going to be watching her gracefully tumble down the mat, hit the vault on the bars. She actually has had one already this year, I should say. I didn't get to go because I was at a wrestling tournament. So
Gotcha.
This is my first that I've been able to go to. She did fantastic. She took 4th all around
Let's
overall
go.
at the last one. So high expectations, high hopes tomorrow in Farmington. We're really excited.
Man, send me some text. Let me know how that goes. I love
do.
that. I absolutely love that stuff. Gymnastics meets are just a blast to watch as a parent. At least I think so. Speaking of the Super Bowl, I don't really care about the game at all, but I always get a little kick out of some of the various prop bets that are making news before a game like the Super Bowl. For example, will Seattle attempt a pass from New England's 1-yard line at any point during the game? So first of all, they got to get to the 1-yard line, exactly the 1-yard line, and which is no guarantee throughout a game to have a play from exactly the 1-yard line. But then it will have to. Will they pass? The odds say 90% chance that this will not happen. So
wow,
if you bet on that, it does. It's a big win, but not as big as will a Patriots linebacker catch a pass? 94% chance of that not happening. It's interesting bet because Pat's coach, Mike Vrabel, caught touchdowns in 2 Super Bowls as a linebacker. So maybe he'll call his own play.
Well, what worries me about all of this betting is that, like, when you see those crazy bets like that, and somebody's going to hit something because something could happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the
some weird bet will happen. Yeah, some weird bet will happen.
The harder one is the 1-yard line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no guy is going to get out there and be like, dude, I just got to get to the 1-yard line and stop so I can hit this bet. But I mean, I could see some quarterback like, hey, my buddy, I'm going to throw a pass to this linebacker because my buddy's got $500,000 on this 90-1 bet. And we already know that stuff's happened. Shoot, in the NBA, people are going to prison, for some of these things that they've gotten busted on already, some of these betting rings. But
yeah,
when they get to these crazy bets like that, you just sit there and think, like, how hard would it be for either a coach or a player to go, hey, we're up 20. Let's hey, you're an eligible receiver now, buddy.
Yeah.
Turn around and catch it.
Yeah. Or that decision, like in the end of a game, that's if it's out of reach, like the decision to kick a field goal or not kick a field goal, or kneeling at the 1-yard line, like that kind of stuff. Just always. Yeah, we had a really good conversation about this exact issue with Skip Weber and Mark Close on Wednesday on Close's Cabinet. Go back and check it out because Skip was, making the point that there's all these billions of dollars being bet on the Super Bowl and sports in general, and it's hard to believe that there's not a little bit of that there's not influence, especially as you said, we've been it's been exposed in the past. One more I wanted to mention: Valentine's Day right around the corner. Dave & Buster's is transforming its viral human crane into a one-of-a-kind proposal experience by placing a $15,000 3-carat diamond engagement ring inside the game. I haven't seen this before, but apparently they literally strap you to a rope and they lower you're the claw.
Yeah, I saw that online. I think they said there's going to be 5.
Yeah, and there's none in St. Louis. But
well,
I know.
So we know for sure Maryland Heights is out. So I'm canceling my Valentine's.
Yeah,
Day
unless it goes well, and maybe then it'll start to spread. But it's a $20. It's $20 for a chance, and then you are the human crane, and somebody could win an engagement ring.
I just want to know what the consolation prize is.
Yeah, what are in the other boxes? Exactly.
Right, what's in the other boxes? Like, one of those
James,
stupid,
great stuff, buddy.
Boo-boos or something?
Yeah. If that was a couple months ago, it might have been worth just as much. Not sure now.
Yeah.
James Knowles, former Mayor Ferguson, city manager in Troy. Great stuff, my friend. Have a great weekend. Thanks for your time.
You too, bud. Take care.
All right. And we will be back, Colombo and Company, back on Monday at 2. In the meantime, keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next, then the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Have a great weekend.
Looking for insurance you can truly trust? Since 1986, Bauer Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses across Missouri and Illinois. Owner Cindy Blanton doesn't just offer one quote. She shops all the top carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Safeco, and more to find you the best rates. Whether it's your home, auto, toys, or business, we've got you covered. Visit us at Mid-Rivers Mall in St. Peters or call 636-812-2001. Bauer Insurance Agency, the company that protects, the name you can trust.
Hey there, News Talk STL family and friends. This is your financial friend, Chris Cooper, here with Serenity Wealth Management with a special invitation to join us this weekend for the Serenity Wealth Now show. Joining us in the studio, we've got Kyle Dent of Shamrock's Pub and Grill out in St. Peters. We're going to talk a little bit about the community aspect that makes ownership of a bar and grill successful. So tune in right here, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., News Talk STL or Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It is Friday, February 6th, 2026. Here's what's happening today in America. The SAVE Act, FBI arrest, Trump RX, and the All-American Halftime Show. It's all coming up, and Bill's going to be here with your message of the day. But first, Senate Republican leaders met in the Oval Office with the president to talk about the SAVE Act. After their meeting, the president sent a message